There are many different types of affected persons who become involved in countering or preventing violent extremism for many different reasons. Some of them might be family members of people who radicalized and became members of extremist or terrorist organizations, like mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers.
My name's Nicola Ben-Yahya. I'm a founder of actually an organisation called Families for Life. It's a counselling organisation for families who have been affected or impacted by radicalisation or extremism in any way. The reason I founded it was because in 2015 my son had just suddenly disappeared from home. It was an incredibly long 10 weeks before he contacted again. And he said, I'm in Syria, I'm in Raqqa. As soon as he said, I'm in Raqqa, I knew that he had joined ISIS. And that began a very, very difficult, but a very different relationship with him. It was almost like I had to relearn how to be his mother and relearn how to have that relationship with him. Because it, obviously with what he did and with the emotions I had, it was very difficult to know how to approach it.
Sometimes these are former members themselves, members who quit extremist or terrorist groups and afterwards have become involved in preventing and countering violent extremism.
My name's Darren Carroll. I'm 53 years of age and I was involved with the English Defence League, demonstrating around the country from the year 2009 to 2011. It was all happening very quickly and we was all part of this movement. There was a lot of trouble, a lot of violence, and I thought, what's this all about? This has gotten out of control. I hung in there for a year and a half for many reasons. It's you feel like it's your thing, you started it, you feel a bit responsible, you feel a bit of a coward if you pull away from it, you feel like you're letting your family that's still in it down, and your mates. So you kind of stay in there a lot longer than what you are comfortable doing. But spiritually and mentally, I'd pulled away.
Now, the roles these affected individuals might have include, but are not limited to, speaking out against extremism and terrorism, where they use their voices with their unique experiences to inform others about the threats of violent extremist radicalization. Or they might actually engage in one-on-one counseling or mentoring. They might help other individuals to leave extremist environments. Family members also, especially mothers and fathers, might help other family members, other parents. In many cases, these parents don't know why this is happening to them, what draws the children to these movements. They feel alone, they feel vulnerable, they feel guilty. It is important to understand that for most of these individuals, the motivation to engage in PCVE activities comes out of a deep felt emotional connection to the topic. They might risk opening up old wounds. That it is very, very important to know more about the motivations, the risk factors, and the potential repercussions of involving affected individuals, affected persons in the PCVE environment.
And then when I started getting newspaper interviews and that, I basically started getting some threats. And then I got hate mail after that. So it was all about making me feel ashamed and disgracing me to my children and grandsons, and I was a traitor and all this kind of thing. And cars were getting done and windows and stuff. But I thought, no, I know this time I'm on the right side, this is me. I'm going to do it the right way. I'm quite comfortable with who I am and the way I'm going about it. And things are happening, but that's not me doing that or being responsible for it. That's other people make the decision to do that to me, so I just carried on.
So we need to understand that involving affected persons in PCV always comes at a great potential risk and cost for these individuals and also for the professionalism within the PCVE field.
So one of the things that we've found in relation to how we counter extremism is that young people who are participating in these milieus are really reflective and open to thinking about what they're doing. We often talk about the targets of our policies, the targets of our interventions, and in this way we kind of turn the people that we're looking to engage into objects of that, and that's not lost on them. If you're an object of a policy, you're unlikely to engage in it willingly. Where you feel a subject of that engagement, then you're much more likely to engage in a positive way. It's really important to them that people don't see them as brainwashed. They tend to talk about other extremists, real extremists, as the ones who are brainwashed, the ones who don't reflect, who don't critically interrogate their views, and see themselves as very much as being reflective and critical thinkers. And one of our findings is that people are quite open to being challenged. They relish people engaging with them because it makes them feel that they are being listened to. They don't expect necessarily to be agreed with. Usually they expect not to be agreed with. The most frequent response to encounters with radical messages that we found was that we should engage in dialogue, or as they called it often, just to have the conversation. And they emphasised that how frustrating they found it when people weren't prepared to have that conversation with them, when in fact they felt that a conversation with them would be extremely productive. They also talked about their own willingness to engage in that kind of dialogue with people who thought very differently to them. And this seems to us a really important finding for how we move forward with new forms of countering violent extremism or preventing violent extremism that engages with milieu actors themselves. So when they talk about what they would like from these dialogues or these conversations with people who think very differently from them, quite surprisingly maybe, it's not that they want to change their minds. It's that they want to be heard and to listen, and they want to have a mutually respectful conversation.
They might not have shifted their own position, but they've certainly shifted the perception that we have that these two sets of young people, these two sets of ideas can't interact or engage with each other.
Of course, facilitating that conversation when people are still active in these milieus is risky. It takes professional facilitation and mediation, but we think that that is a way forward that could really make a difference, and make a difference not only in a preventive sense, but engaging those people who are currently active in these milieus.